So the two new mages coming to Call of Dragons have had all of their skills revealed, as well as a lot of information about the upcoming season T1 in Tamaris. So I'm going to go over everything and talk about how insanely overpowered Bertrand looks and insanely underpowered Toar looks. Hey everyone, Zoraz here from Not Casuals. Today we're going to go over the new heroes principally, as well as everything else has been announced. As you can see here on the official YouTube channel of Call of Dragons, they have made a video with the developers talking about what is coming to the new season. So there is a lot of very interesting things. Of course, the new season, as they have said before, is going to be on Tamaris. So you can look at here, it basically shows you the map. So this is the map we first played in during the beginning of the game. But a few differences have been added, and we'll eventually obviously see exactly what this entails. But the first thing to notice about this map, and the thing to remember, is that every zone had war from the beginning, instead of everybody starting kind of like at the bottom and going towards the middle like we've had for the last two seasons. Instead, every zone is around, and then the first passes that open kind of like unlock the zones to zones. So there's like infighting between the zones, and then the new areas that open up have multiple zones merging into each other, fighting again. And then lastly, the last zone combines everyone together with even more fighting. So this is a very fun thing, as the map was obviously very fun and much better than the previous one for the purpose of having a lot of action and war. Alongside this is going to be new policies. Now, a lot of this looks similar. You can see that some of the medical stuff has been kind of like added here, a Apothecary update and stuff. So they'll obviously have condensed a lot of the healing stuff into less of these policies, which is great. As well as the turret seems to have been much simplified. But you can see here, this is one of the ones that will be probably very important. Cavalry, infantry drills, max, like all this drill stuff. This is all the unit types, and obviously having them at 20 is a very high investment. Not every player is able to max every one of these at 20. So this will add choices in the season where you will have to specifically boost certain types of unit while sacrificing the boost for some other types. So you can't just boost every single thing. And on top of that, they're adding a whole season talent thing, which is really fun and very interesting, as it will add a lot of depth. And you will earn these points throughout the season by playing the game, doing the events, all that kind of stuff. And then you will decide in which of these trees you want to go and focus. So the trees are going to be pretty straightforward. Battlefield domination seems to be focused on cavs and infantry, doing more damage, taking less damage. You know, for example, the last skill here is this. So when your infantry or cavalry launch a melee attack at a ranged legion, they take 15% less damage. So this is a significant boost. 15% less damage is very high. So you can think that all of these trees are going to have different things. Range assault is obviously going to focus on mages and marksmen. This is going to focus on buildings and turrets, as well as this one, who is going to focus on, it looks like, merits, healing, pet catching, things like that. So this is going to be very cool. This, in my opinion, is an amazing feature that will really add a lot of spice to the game. So I'm very happy to see that they've implemented this, which is very similar to what is in Rise of Kingdom. So this is something that I'm very glad they imported from that game. Now, one thing that is important to note here is that you can only have one talent on each level of a branch. So this is going to be, you know, limiting you. You're going to have to make choices, as well as the more you go down, the more costly they're going to get. So you can obtain up to 21 talent points. This is 4, 3, 2, 1. So for a total of 10. So you'll be able to get things in hopefully more than one tree. But you won't be able to get everything here. It will be limited. You won't be able to get all the things. So you'll have to really focus. There is a button up here that says reset. So you might be able to reset it, but I don't know exactly what it's going to entail. In any case, this is going to add a lot to the game, and I'm excited. Now, moving on to new heroes. Of course, we knew who they were, the heroes. This is not new, but as you can see, it is confirmed that Bertrand is the flying hero. It shows here he's basically flying a spectral horse with wings, which is kind of exactly what I guessed. I knew he was going to be some kind of horse with wings, but this is going to be a very interesting hero. Now, if we look at his first ability, obviously his rage skill, this is going to be 1500 magic damage when awakened, and he will also consume all the stacks of golden mark, increasing damage dealt by 5% per stack. This is going to be where golden mark comes from. So when Bertrand deals hero damage, he will gain 1 stack, and he can have up to 3 of these stacks. They get consumed when he does his rage skill, but they are going to be giving him 10% skill damage per stack. So this is incredible because you can basically gain up to 30%. And this is one of the reasons why people are saying Bertron's going to be really, really OP, because he has so much damage. Now it's single target damage, but it is 1500 damage value. It's higher than Velen and Lilia, who are AoE, but still it's a very high value. On top of the fact that when it consumes a stack, it does 5% more damage. And on top of the fact that if he has up to 3 stacks, that's 30% more damage, plus even more stuff from the rest of his kit. So this is going to be an incredibly strong flying champion. And he obviously will pair very well with Tia, who is also a flying legendary mage, who as a secondary will give him a shield and another 15% skill damage increase from her skill. So it is just incredible. He will really be very strong with the flying march, but he will also pair very well with basically any of the mages, as they all do skill damage and he boosts skill damage, and someone like Velen does boost skill damage as well, which will boost Bertrand. So this is really going to be a very strong hero. Now the one thing that is a bit confusing here, and obviously when we have the heroes unlocked, I will make a video and go over this again, but this says when Bertrand deals hero skill damage. Now most hero in this game, when you look at their tooltip, for example, it says basically Lilia's Legion, right? And I think Tia also has something like that, Tia's Legion. It doesn't say when Tia gains a shield, it says her Legion. So when we go here, it says when Bertrand deals hero skill damage. So I don't know if this is a translation issue or if it means that his deputy does not count here. It's only him. In any case, it is a bit weird because this means that he will gain 1 stack after dealing hero skill damage, but after we've gone over his kit, you will see that there is nothing in his kit that gives him hero skill damage except for his main ability. So he will be able to get a stack from his own main ability when he casts, but then it only lasts for 5 seconds, and usually casting rage skills, you know, it will take sometimes 4 or 5 seconds, sometimes 6-7 seconds, so it might not be up in time for him to even benefit from this. So this is a bit weird. Obviously, I don't exactly know how it's gonna go, but in any case, I do hope that this is not just Bertrand. It has to be like his Legion, because otherwise it would make no sense. He will never get 3 stacks because it expires after he casts a rage skill. So this is, you know, probably an English issue here, but it is also a little bit odd because Tia has absolutely no skill damage on her kit whatsoever, which means he will never be able to gain more than 1 stack if you're pairing him with Tia, which is the only other flying hero that works with him that is legendary. The other option is Aetius, who has 1 skill damage with his main ability, which means he would never be able to go over 2 of these stacks at once. So unless I'm understanding this wrong, it is a bit of an odd design, meaning that his preferred pairings means he will never get this properly. Now, if you mix him with Lilia, for example, who does like Scorch, which is a lot of damage, this in a way would make this work. So this is something that you can do. And also with other heroes that cast, you know, for example, Velen, who has AoE and stuff, which might make it do more stacks. It's gonna have to be tested, but in any case, it will work with other heroes, just none of the ones who can fly. So in my opinion, that's a little bit of a weird design, meaning that you can't pair him with the heroes he's meant to go and get the full value of his kit. In any case, though, he is still going to be very good, even without man-maxing this 10%, up to 30%. Hopefully, they come up with a better wording or clarification. And the fact that it's only 5 seconds is weird because, you know, casting rage skills every 5 seconds happens in War, but it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes it's 6-7 seconds, like I said. So this would mean that he will cast his skill, and then 6 seconds later when he's casting his skill again, well, this has expired, so the boost doesn't work, and then he doesn't consume it. So I'm a bit disappointed with that. Doesn't mean that I don't like the hero, because he's still going to be very strong. The values are still high. Just this in particular itself seems like a weird design. His other ability, this is a basic buff, 25% magic attack to his Legion, which, by the way, it says Bertrand's Legion here, so as I said, it's a bit weird, but 10% defense penetration. These are very powerful offensive buffs. Very strong. It's going to do a lot of damage. And the last one is that when he's in the field, his legions gain 15% attack and defense if they have not taken normal attack damage for 3 seconds. Now, I don't think this counts counterattack, but normal attack damage meaning that you're being targeted and attacked. So as long as you're not being focused, you should basically have this buff at all times. This should not include AoE from other like mages AoEing around you and stuff. So hopefully it will mean that this will be up all the time. And if you get targeted, well, you back off until you're not targeted anymore and you go back into combat, which is what we do already. And then the awakening skill is basically the first skill. It goes from 1300 to 1500. There's no other difference. So a very small buff, but a significant buff considering all the additional skill damage percentages that he gets from all the other heroes as we discussed, as well as his own kit. So in any case, he's going to be a very, very strong powerhouse. Tia will be obviously his best if you want to fly around and harass. And it won't be a weak march like it is currently, with Tia being obviously a bit of a weak on the damage. But right now with him and Tia's secondary, it will be very different. It will be very high damage, very single target focused march. So we won't be able to ignore flying marches anymore. The game will definitely change a lot having this hero in the game. It will really, really twist things around for next season. Now moving on to Tohar, who is a very, very weird design. Now, I think, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he is the first and only hero in this game who doesn't have a rage skill. As you can see here, the skill here is a passive skill. It is not a rage skill, so he does not generate rage whatsoever. So in that sense, it's already very weird, very different. I don't know what that means, but this skill itself is even weirder. So after 5 normal attacks, which is usually 5 seconds-ish, Toar channels Rage of the Plateau, dealing damage to target legion every second up to 5 seconds. Moving interrupts channeling. So this is interesting because this means that he will be attacking for 5 seconds, and then instead of a rage skill, he will then sit there and start channeling 300 damage per second. So when you look at it, it is going to be 1500 damage, the same as Bertrand, who is going to be done over 5 seconds. So Bertrand, basically, he casts normal attacks for 5 seconds, 6 seconds, generate rage, boom, 1500 damage in your face. Go back to attacking, 5 seconds later, boom, 1500 damage in your face. This is how it works in this game. Currently, in this case, he will be doing attacking for 5 seconds and then start channeling for 5 more seconds, doing 1500 over this duration. Meanwhile, Bertrand is going on attacking and he's doing rage skill and rage skill over and over every 5-6 seconds. So this hero seems like he's going to be extremely weak in this way. Now, there is a lot of things you can do because he's doing damage every second. There are things like Chain Strike and other pet abilities, as well as some artifacts eventually maybe that will, really do things well with him. Like it will proc some damage. Some of the pets, maybe the new pet is going to be, something that is incredibly strong with this. There is definitely something to be done. I'm not saying he's going to be completely terrible, but his damage is extremely low because he has to sit there and basically he's doing 300 damage per second while he's channeling. I don't know if that means he stops auto attacking, like it stops normal attack, probably not, but then that means that he will just sit there, channel, and basically never stop, because as he's channeling, he's normal attacking, which means that after 5 more, he's channeling again. So very weird. I don't understand how it works exactly. We'll have to test it for sure. But in any case, it will take him, let's say you cast a rage kill every 5 seconds. Well, 5 seconds of gathering the normal attacks and then 5 seconds of channeling. That means in a 10-second window, he will have done 1500 damage of skill damage. Meanwhile, in a 10 seconds window where you're getting a rage kill every 5 seconds, Bertrand will have done 3000 damage, double of this. So in any scenario, this is not very good sounding. Even Lilia and Velen, they do 1200 damage and then it's AoE on top of that. So this is like nowhere close to the damage of the other mages. Now, I might be wrong. Some of it might work a bit differently. And there is a lot that will be changed with the weight pets and all that kind of stuff. There is a lot that can be different. But in any case, it sounds weak and it looks weird. But on top of that, if you move, it interrupts channeling, which means if you're in a war, if you've done war in Call of Dragons so far, as soon as you target someone, usually they start backing off because their screens flash red and they think they're getting targeted, which they are. So they're like backing off not to get killed, which means you are going to be interrupting this every time. You're doing a normal attacks, you start channeling, the person backs away, you start moving, interrupt. You have to start 5 attack again. So it sounds extremely, extremely weak and very, very weird to play. I don't exactly know what the thinking process behind this was, and I might be wrong. He might work completely differently, but as the consensus from all the players I've talked to so far seems to agree that this is a very weird skill to have. If you understand it differently, make sure to share in the comments. I would be happy to have a discussion and see, but in my opinion, so far, this is looking very, very underwhelming. Now, to top the underwhelming things off, we also have his second skill, which is a garrison skill. Now, he gains 20% attack bonus while he's garrison and has over 50% unit remaining. So obviously this is decent, like 20% attack bonus as a garrison. It's still great, like there's nothing wrong with that, but garrison in this game is only used in war, like Roots of War, right? So there's nothing else that needs garrisoning unless you're getting rallied. But if you're getting rallied, then you're doing the game wrong. Like you shouldn't be getting rallied, of course. And if you're getting rallied, it means, you know, you're obviously either wanting to, which means you're in control, and obviously he could be used there, but it's not going to change the way the game works or the war. It's really not something that changes objectives and stuff. It happens at the end of the season or one player here and there. The most of the time, this skill will have absolutely no value whatsoever in a war for Dragon, right? So there's absolutely nothing that this brings. I always wish that the Spires were a rally target, so then there would be a bit of a rally meta in the game, but there isn't. So right now, this is basically a completely wasted skill, kind of like similar to Lilia with her peacekeeping skill. So this is what it is. Obviously, we expected this, obviously, as a garrison, and it's not new. So this is what it is. Now, his next skill is, in my opinion, his best, and it is why he's still going to be played, even if his first skill is a bit weak. This makes that magic unit in his legion deal 30% more skill damage, less 5% normal attack damage. Now, that doesn't matter because normal attack is not what mages do anyways. 30% skill damage is incredibly high. You could put him as secondary to Lilia, to Velen, or even Bertrand, and they all do incredibly high numbers. So I think 30% of that is just incredibly high. It's a lot of damage. So this is amazing. If you are playing this hero, these skills need to be maxed. There is no doubt about it. Like, obviously, I still would do like 5-1-5-5, you know, kind of like the way it works. Bertrand obviously works okay as 5-1-1-1. The more max they are, the better. Bertrand does need to be awakened though, because his awakening is a bit weak. But still, it's just this hero will require a lot of investment because you do need the skill max to have really the best value out of him. So you really do need to invest a lot of tokens if you really want to get this skill. So kind of a downside for people who are not big spenders. And you know, it's just a bit underwhelming. Plateau Protection, his last skill. This is obviously about his channeling. So when he's channeling, his legion gains unyielding and shelter. So he takes 15% less counterattack damage and 30% more defense. So this, if you're targeting a Marge that has a lot of counterattack and for some reason they're not moving away from you and they're attacking you, well, you will be taking a lot less counterattack damage from them and you'll have a lot more defense in order to tank them. So this is decent, but again, like we said, most people who get targeted don't let themselves just sit there and let channeled on or attacked on. They will move. So this has a bit less value there. Also, I am pretty confident that even though the counterattack damage cycle is reduced, if you are a Mage March with Tohar attacking Kinara Hosk with high counterattack, for example, you will still get demolished. Even though you'll take 15% less damage, you'll still really die quickly because that March just demolishes any mages attacking it. So, you know, it is decent. It is nice to see. In my opinion, this will be used mostly against infantry because infantry are the ones who are not moving. They are in the front line and they're tanking you. Obviously, Goresh and Skogul, who just came out, have a lot of counterattack. It's the whole build. So this counters them. If they attack your front line, you put Toar on them with Mage, you'll do a lot of damage. And you will, you know, make it so that you don't take a lot of damage from their counterattack, which is what they do. Still, 15% is extremely low. In this, for example, has way more in her kit than 15%. So this is extremely low, a bit disappointing. But, you know, it is what it is. I can see some use to it in order to counter the latest infantry hero, which is kind of like the way they do. Every new hero that goes into the game counters kind of like the previous one. So that is what it is. Now, lastly, and I think this is his biggest downfall, his Awakened skill. After Toar finishes channeling Rage of the Plateau, his Legion gains 30% attack for 3 seconds. Now, this is amazing, right? It is an incredibly strong buff, and an Awakened skill are usually pretty weak in this game. So this one is like a full-on new passive skill that adds incredible amount of stats. So this is very, very powerful. The sad part about it is that you need to finish channeling Rage of the Plateau. Now, it's not clear if you need to do the full 5 seconds. It kind of seems to be what they're saying. It could be if you channel for 1 second and then you stop, then you get the buff. In that case, it would be very good. In the case where you need to channel all 5 seconds in order to get this buff, this will be absolutely terrible. There is almost no scenario in an open war where people are going to be standing still for 5 seconds for you to channel your skill and you don't get interrupted at all. It's possible, but it's very unlikely, and only against infantry will it really happen. Most of the time, you're not fighting infantry for a very long time. So when you're targeting mages, archers, anything, it will be very rare that they're not going to make you move. This game is so much about movement. There is so much about kiting, about backing up when you're getting targeted. You know, it's really just going to be hard where you're not moving for 5 seconds. You're just a sitting duck, a target. Very, very weird. I am really uncertain about the state of this hero. We will obviously test him when he comes out, but as of now, this hero looks like a do not invest if you are not a whale kind of hero. There is really nothing in this kit that really is amazing other than the 30%. He will do very good as a secondary to, like I said, a Lilia and stuff because of the 30%, but other than that, it's very weird. I don't exactly know where he fits in the game. As a garrison in Roots of War, he will do well, but Archer rallies, which are still the best rally in the game currently, with Sindri and Freygar, are still going to melt him because he's a mage, right? Like, they counter, they do so much more damage against mages. It's going to be interesting to see. I am very disappointed so far at how he looks, but obviously I will test him out and see what can be done and some of the things we might have not understood properly. Like I said, this could be amazing if it just means that he stopped channeling. So if he just channels for 1 second and gets this buff afterwards, even though he got interrupted, then it would be fine. Then it would be no problem at all. It's just hard to know because it's not clear what he actually is going to be doing. And the same with the first skill. We really need more clarification because as of now, it looks extremely weak. Now moving on to the new artifact, Nightmarish Reverie. This is a very interesting, quite decent artifact, I think. Deals damage to target legion, then knocks 2 enemy legion near the target airborne. So the main damage to the main target is 1500 base, and then every legion around it up to 2 legion is taking 1000. So that is a 3500 damage to 3 legions. So very good, and like knocking the target airborne means you're kind of like stunning them in the air for a second or so. So like that's very decent. We'll have to see exactly what it looks like in game, but in general this looks very decent. It's a lot of damage. Now we'll have to see every time you upgrade it up to level 5, do they gain 1000 damage each, or is it like 100 each, 200 each? It depends how how much damage you gain per level. We'll see how good it is. I think in my opinion it will have a similar damage to like Phoenix Eye, who does like a very big damage to like 5 targets at once when it's level 5. So this is going to be a very strong mage artifact. It will work very well for this March. Is it going to be absolutely better than Phoenix Eye? I don't think so. Is it going to be similar to the power level of Phoenix Eye and Infernal Flame? I do think so. Infernal Flame obviously belongs on Lilia. This or Phoenix Eye could belong on Velen or Bertrand. This will be obviously very good on a flying March like Bertrand and Tohar, who goes around flying. You can stun, CC. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this. So it's going to be very decent. Now, if you look here, this is the additional effect. Every time your legion gains a buff, you are going to do 7% more artifact skill up to 21%. This lasts for 20 seconds, so this is a very long duration. So this means that when you gain a buff through a hero skill, so Tohar gives a buff through a hero skill. A lot of heroes do give a lot of buffs in this game, and I'm not sure if it includes talents, but in the talents there's so many ways of getting buffs. So this is not something that's going to be very hard to achieve, in my opinion. But it's going to basically put up the damage of this artifact to 21%, meaning that we said 3500 damage was how much damage it was doing total. Add 21% to that, it's a significant chunk of extra damage. So this is going to be in any way a very good artifact. There is no doubt about that. It gives attack as well here, which is obviously a good stat as well. Now we also know that a new skin is coming, so this is what it looks like, which is very decent looking, and it is the infantry HP and cavalry defense minus. So an infantry skin. In a way, this kind of tells me that the next legendary skin that will come in the next power event, where you have to boost up to like 20 million power to get the skin, it will most likely be a similar skin with infantry, because we don't have an infantry 10% skin right now, and this is going to be like the weaker version of it. Anyways, it's going to be nice because there really isn't any infantry skin right now that are good, so this is going to be one of the best ones because HP is amazing, especially for infantry. Also, we're going to have a new nameplates, and new like avatar frame and all that kind of stuff. There's also this event that we've seen before, which is a very nice event where you're going to get this skin, but also a lot of value to be had. This new event, which is going to be kind of like a behemoth fighting skill, which is looking pretty interesting actually. This looks more interesting than the last one with like the behemoth that basically you just fight it once and that's it. So again, you match up treasure hunt, all that kind of stuff. This is nothing new. There's a lot of these events coming. There's also a lot of modifications that are going to be coming to the Dragon Trail. I encourage you to come and watch this video if you want more details on all that stuff. I don't want to focus on it too long because I don't want this video too long. But there's a lot of stuff coming, a lot of interesting add-ons, and I made a full video going over the patch notes if you're interested in that. All in all, I think it's just going to be very interesting to see what happens with these new talents, because I think this is going to make a very fun season, as well as these new heroes which, you know, we still don't really know exactly how they work. As I said, a lot of conflicting information. As of now, Tohar looks a very, very weird hero, and one of the skills on Bertron looks like it won't work at all, except with like 1 or 2 heroes in the game right now. So as you can see, I have 1,104 of these tokens ready, so I am going to be maxing these new mage heroes. I might actually hold off on Tohar now that I've seen his kit. I will for sure max Bertrand, though there is absolutely no doubt about that. But in any case, I will be definitely testing them out and seeing exactly how they work, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Let me know what you think about these heroes. If there's anything that I might have interpreted wrong, I would be happy to discuss and see what you guys think about it. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next video.